time, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown, who will present a resolution honoring the African American Children's Book Project. Would Vanessa Lloyd Scambati and those accompanying her please join the councilwoman at the podium. And we have Councilman Derek Green.
Hello, Vanessa Lloyd Scambati.
Councilman Jones. Councilman Johnson. And Councilwoman Parker. And Councilwoman Kiona Sanchez and Councilwoman Bass. And Councilwoman Blackwell. Hey.
Thank you, Mr. President. The children's book industry is one that is huge, has an international footprint, and makes a difference, we know, every day in the lives of children. For the last 5 years, I've gone to the International Book Fair at the Jacob Javits Center in New York City, and more than 2/3 of that space there is devoted to agents and publishers and illustrators who care about children's books. So for Vanessa Lloyd Scambati to embrace this world 27 years ago is remarkable and simply speaks to the unwavering commitment to literacy when it comes to children. In that spirit, this morning we are honoring the African American Children's Book Project on the occasion of its 27th annual African American Children's Book Fair. Whereas Philadelphia struggles with a double-digit illiteracy rate among those 16 and under, underscoring the extreme importance of providing children with early opportunities to learn to read, and beyond that, to develop a love for reading. And whereas studies show children who read outside of course schoolwork tend to excel in other aspects of their lives, book fairs provide children with a venue to explore their curiosity and interests, and motivates children to read and read and read by offering them a wide selection of different books to browse. And
whereas Philadelphia is home to a diverse community of writers representing varied cultures, backgrounds, and experiences that match those of the city residents, and whereas the African American Children's Book Fair is one of the oldest and largest single-day events for African American children's books in the country, with an average annual attendance of over 3,500 children, parents, and friends. Rich or poor, no one leaves empty-handed, as the books themselves are priced at a level where they are more affordable, and posters, bookmarkers, and raffle books are distributed free of charge to attendees. And
whereas the book fair highlights books that enlighten and empower children and features some of the most exciting children's authors from the multicultural literary community. Its goal is not merely to get children reading, but to foster in them a lifelong passion for the activity that enriches their lives. The event is a product of the African American Children's Book Project, and whereas Vanessa Lloyd Scambati is the founder and CEO of the African American Children's Book Project. As a literary consultant, she is a much sought-after expert on trends in diverse books and how to incorporate these books into homes, schools, and libraries. She created the book fair because she believes that all children should have access to books that reflect their images. With the book fair in its 27th year, it is clear that Ms. Scambati's vision has resonated within the Philadelphia community. And
whereas this year's book fair will have over 36 authors and illustrators in attendance, and will especially feature 2 celebrated authors, Susan Robeson and T.R. Simon, and whereas one of this year's 2 featured authors is Susan Robeson, who will highlight her new book, Grandpa Stops a War, quote unquote. Robeson, the granddaughter of renowned American musician, actor, and activist Paul Robeson, is an award-winning documentary film and television producer, an adjunct professor in film and communications, and the executive director of the Paul Robeson Foundation. And
Grandpa Stops a War is based on a true story of Paul Robeson's visit to the front lines in the Spanish Civil War to sing to soldiers. Illustrated by Rod Brown, Grandpa Stops a War is Susan Robinson's first picture book for young readers. And living in London with his family during that time of the Spanish Civil War, Paul Robeson became disturbed by the reports of the struggles suffered by those affected by the conflict and collected money, food, and clothing for Spanish children. Robeson eventually decided to visit the front, where he sang African American spirituals and songs of freedom with such feeling that soldiers on both sides were moved. As Susan Robinson writes, in Grandpa Stops a War, while Grandpa Paul sang, there was peace. And
whereas renowned children's author T.R. Simon will be featured at the book fair. Most recently, Simon authored Zora and Me, The Cursed Ground, which has received starred reviews from numerous publications and is a Junior Library Guild selection. And whereas Zora and Me, The Cursed Ground, continues the fictionalized account of Zora Neale Hurston's childhood adventures that Simon began in her first book, Zora and Me. Co-authored with Victoria Bond, Zora and Me won the Coretta Scott King John Steptoe Award for New Talent and was nominated for an Edgar Award for the Best Mystery in the category of juvenile fiction. And whereas in Zora and Me, The Cursed Ground, young Zora and her friend, Carrie Brown, come across their friend, Mr. Polk, injured outside his cabin. Zora and Carrie soon find themselves embroiled in a decades-old mystery involving an enslaved girl named Lucia. In the words of Kirkus Reviews, Zora and Me, The Cursed Ground is an extraordinary, richly imagined, coming-of-age story about a young Zora Neale Hurston, the long, cruel reach of slavery, and the power of community. And
whereas 2 additional individuals will be honored for their extraordinary support of children's literacy in Philadelphia. They are Angela Forshaw Rouse and Grace Rustia of the AARP Pennsylvania office. And whereas Angela Forshaw Rouse is the manager of state operations and community outreach for AARP Pennsylvania. There, she oversees the implementation of state and national campaigns, volunteer and member engagement, and community outreach throughout Pennsylvania. Her work in communications outreach has been recognized by elected officials and community leaders while educating the 50-plus population in AARP's 1.8 million members in Pennsylvania. And whereas Grace Rustia is the Associate State Director for Multicultural Outreach for AARP Pennsylvania. She is an accomplished advocate for multicultural and diverse communities with years of experience in public affairs, community development, and management. Grace also holds an appointed seat as the Vice Chair of the Mayor's Commission on Asian American Affairs, for which she serves as an advisor on issues and policies pertinent to Asian communities in the city of Philadelphia. And
the 2019 African American Children's Book Fair will take place this Saturday, February 2nd at Community College of Philadelphia from 1 to 4 p.m. This year's event is produced by Literary Media and Publishing Consultants, and whereas Council has no doubt that this year's iteration of the book fair will meet all of the goals and expectations inspired by its history of excellence, we encourage all of the city's residents, young and not so young, to discover for the first time or once again the wonders to be found in the pages of a good book. And must I say, this is one of the best organized events that I attend. Very, very worthwhile, so please, please, let's support. Therefore, be it resolved that by the Council of the City of Philadelphia that we hereby honor the African American Children's Book Project on the occasion of its 27th annual African American Children's Book Fair. Congratulations to sponsors, volunteers, and everyone.
And the chair recognizes Ms. Combati.
Thank you so much. It is with great joy that I kick off. It is January 31st, but if you see me, you know that Black History Month is upon us. And it is with great joy that I kick off this month to celebrate 27 years. We make it happen on a wing and a prayer. But it is with much sadness because Blondell Reynolds Brown came to me, and I know I don't like people to keep acknowledging me when I'm doing the book fair, because we do these things because this is what we're supposed to do. But Blondell came to me and said, what can I do? And she recognized that having these people over the past 15 years acknowledged in City Council was important to the city. Because you know what, we have some of the best and the brightest, not only locally, but nationally, and we needed to introduce these people to you so that you can take that information back to your community. I always come with some free books. These are truly the best and the brightest. This is the 27th year, and I keep saying on a wing and a prayer, we don't have any real government funding, but through the support of Sherelle Parker, and if I say familiar, I know them, okay? We practically grew up with each other, and Sherelle is probably saying, I'm not that old. Sherelle Parker, Blondell Reynolds Brown, Janie Blackwell, Kenyatta Johnson, Derek Green, and Councilman Alan Dom, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, have all supported this effort. Children come not only from the greater Philadelphia region, but from around the country. We have 36 African-American children's authors and illustrators. These are the people winning the awards. These are the people who are being read by not only African-American children, but all children, making the New York Times bestsellers list. So I'm excited to present them. I'm not going to take up a lot of time because you know I'm fabulous. I can start talking about me and all my great accomplishments, but I'm not going to do that this morning. You have to come to the book fair to hear the footnotes, you know, because I'm on my way to Bologna and I'll be making presentations about African-American children's book, not only in London, but Paris and London also. So I'm pretty global. But the 4 people behind me have made this event a success. And I'm going to give their name, and they'll come up and make some brief remarks. And I hope that you will take the time, and especially if you are running for an elected office, you will take the time on Saturday to sashay over to community college. Because if you have any doubts about the possibilities of the children in this city, come to that event. The possibilities, I am hopeful, they come from all corners of the city. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ms. Robeson. Susan Robeson will come to the mic. Then T.R. Simon, who's AKA Tanya McKinnon, whose mother Hildegard is with her. They came in from New York this morning. And by the way, Tanya McKinnon is one of the top literary agents in the country. Her books always land on the New York Times bestsellers list. And I'm on bended knees trying to do an Aretha Franklin book, but she won't call me back on that one. And then we also have Angela Forshaw-Rouse, who is with ARP, and Grace Rustia, who've been very helpful. And finally, I said I was going to take my seat. I just wanted to acknowledge a couple of people: Wells Fargo, PICO, Senior Always Best Care Senior Services, PICO, I mentioned that, AARP, Independence First, and especially NBC 10, Telemundo 62, and the Comcast family. Now, here's something else that if you want to come on Saturday, the first 500 children will get a brand new book, not some throwaway book. There will be a book of the guest authors and illustrators. And if you have educators in your loop, all those sponsors will be giving away brand new books of our guest authors and illustrators. And thank you for the time, because I can't be fabulous without y'all.
Thank you so much for your leadership and this honor. I'm deeply moved. And I'm sure my grandfather is smiling down on us wherever he is. What you're doing is helping to keep his legacy alive. He's a beacon in these times, a beacon and a standard bearer. I think particularly for 2 things: speaking truth to power, and what it means to be a truly engaged citizen of the world or global citizen. So thank you again for this honor, and I hope to see all of you on Saturday, and peace and blessings.
Hi, I'm T.R. Simon. I'm deeply honored to be here. Thank you, Councilwoman Blondell. Reynolds Brown, thank you so much. And Vanessa Lloyd-Scambati, thank you so much for the book fair. I write for children because when I was young, I came alive through literature. And it shaped who I am today, and it shaped the way in which I thought about the world. And when I was young, we didn't have as many books by about young people of color that we do today. And I think it's a blessing that today we can have an entire fair with 36 prominent authors who are writing about the experience of children of all ethnicities and walks of life. I think that's a great blessing and a great opportunity for young people. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. I am Grace Rustia, and I am the Multicultural Director for the State of Pennsylvania from AARP. Thank you so much on behalf of AARP and our 38 million members. Thank you so much, Councilwoman Reynolds Brown, and of course, Vanessa Lloyd-Scambati, for this honor and for the collaboration and partnership that we do with AARP, and for highlighting and celebrating the Black History Month. Thank you for this honor.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Angela Forshaw-Rouse, and I am the State Operations and Community Outreach Director for AARP in Pennsylvania. On behalf of our 1.8 million members across Pennsylvania, we are honored and we thank humbly to our Councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown and all members of the City Council for their support over the years for AARP Pennsylvania right here in Philadelphia, as we work really hard to advocate on behalf of people 50 and older and their families to make sure that people have affordable health care, access to wealth, and living their best life in this society. We thank Vanessa Lloyd-Scambati for her commitment to education, intergenerational education, that it's not just commemorating Black History Month, but the work continues 365 days of the year. So we just, again, encourage everyone to come out and participate, education for all ages. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bediz.